One of the things that attracts so many of us to the idea of tiny house living is a return to simplicity, the ability to reconnect with nature and truly engage with the natural world around us. And that is exactly what an inspiring couple here in New South Wales have done by building a beautiful off-the-grid tiny house and some absolutely spectacular regenerative gardens. Hi Kira, how's it going?
Hi, welcome.
Thank you very much. G'day Anthony, how's it going?
Great,
mate?
thanks mate.
Lovely to meet you. And this house is really quite something, isn't it? It's like a little treasure nestled into the forest.
We are so lucky to be here.
Yeah. First of all, how did you come to be living in a tiny house on wheels?
It's been a bit of a dream in a way. I've been following the alternative housing movement for quite a while, you know, earthships and roundhouses and that kind of thing, and it all led to the tiny homes, you know, when they were starting up in America and New Zealand and then coming to Australia. And also, I guess that yearning to live in amongst the environment without causing too much impact, and I guess being self-sustaining. So that's been quite a desire for me to do, and now we're able to do it. So wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at tiny houses as well, on and off for the past 10 years or so. And really for me, it is about being able to live in nature and in this beautiful environment with very little impact. And also, it is kind of like being in an apartment. It's tidy, it's small, it doesn't take a lot of your time and energy, so you can spend more energy out here, which is what I would rather be doing. So most of my time is outdoors.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it looks like you've done a lot of work creating some really beautiful gardens out here as well.
That's been a big part of it for both of us. We're both very interested in regenerative agriculture, so whatever we did, we wanted it to be around that. So we've had some help from a Syntropic farming guide. It's a really big part of what we want to do, and Kira's actually been driving it.
Fantastic. So for those who don't know, what is syntropic farming?
It's a system that's emerged out of Brazil, and it's probably similar to permaculture in a lot of ways, where you're looking at the growing within a forest structure, because every aspect of a forest feeds and supports the whole in ways that we don't see on the onset. And ultimately it is about understanding that growing food is not necessarily a linear thing, it's volumetric. So you have the layers, you have each aspect that supports the whole. Everything grows in together.
It's
Plants
like
provide
mimicking
shade.
a forest situation.
You are
really,
mimicking
isn't
a
it?
forest, and in that you create a system whereby once it's established, you don't need to think about watering, you don't even need to think about getting in mulch. You grow the mulch. It's about using the energy that's around you, so using as little energy as possible to create as much energy as possible. That would be the succinct version.
And now here in this home as well, you're also completely off the grid, aren't you?
Totally off the grid, yeah. It was a big goal to do that, to have free energy from the sun. We want to really minimise our day-to-day expenses as much as possible, whilst living in, you know, without creating any kind of pollution or contamination of the environment. So yeah, totally off grid.
Fantastic. Good sized rain tank you've got on this house as well.
10,000 litres rain tank. We've just been through a big drought, so we've had to pay to have it filled a couple of times, but now with this rain, it's overflowing. We're thinking of actually getting another smaller one in, but yeah, it's wonderful.
And then I love the outdoor living space that you've added onto your home, because this just creates a wonderful living area, doesn't it?
That was a really big part of it, to have a really big outdoor area. So I've been following tiny homes and looking at them, and some of the verandas I've seen are like that big sort of thing. I thought, oh, I want a massive veranda to be able to sleep on and live on and cook on and do all the different things, you know. So that was a big thing, and I think you kind of were quite
same.
aligned in that.
Any house that I've lived in, if there's a veranda, that's where I'd spend all my time. It was a no-brainer to really focus on having the deck, and it's so livable.
And you've created such a beautiful and idyllic looking home here. When it came to designing the exterior and the aesthetics of the home, what was really important to you?
One of the main thing was to not feel like we're in a box or in a container. So having all the glazing here and the access ways and the bifold, and knowing that we were going to have a deck, we were already envisaging, okay, so we have this home where we look out and there's nature, there's the deck, and you just step out and seamlessly are integrated with your environment. So that was really one of the drivers of the design from that point of view.
Yeah, having it open.
Yeah,
and
having it
open.
really open, all the kitchen windows, getting as much glazing as possible to not only let light in, but to see the surrounds and be part of the surrounds. Everywhere you are, you're seeing the trees, you're seeing the greenery, and that's really important to us.
Being indoors, outdoors, even the breakfast bar here, that was intentional, having that made, because it's both sides. So if we have people around for dinner, we can have 3 on that side, 3 on that side. And so you're indoors, outdoors, yeah.
So what size is the house actually?
It's 7.2 long by 2.4.
And Anthony, this is not your first experience with tiny house living, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. I decided to drive around Australia in a VW transporter van and live in that. And it was part of this passion to educate our communities around Australia about the impacts of plastic pollution on the ocean and on the environment in general and human health. And it's turned into a wonderful, educational curriculum. And so it just went. I thought it might only last a year or 2 years, and it's been 5 years on the road in that tiny little space there. So coming to this is like, moving up into a palace.
It certainly must be. Well, I really love what you've created here. I think this exterior area is just so beautiful. I love the way that it connects the home to the outdoors, and I am super excited to see what you've done inside. Can we take a look?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, after you. Oh, this is lovely. And it really is quite special, the way that this house really has been connected to the outdoors with all of these windows.
Yeah, it was very important for us to have that connection straight outside with nature. We're very outdoors people. Having the breakfast bar there, which serves as a workspace for me. I'm at that bench all the time, plus cooking space. And then over here, looking out into, the great outdoors there as well, having full-length windows. Having as much open area in here as well.
And then you've got the sofa here.
The sofa, yeah, we found that to be quite handy in the winter because it can get quite cold. So we sit inside and eat. But we found it is quite confining. Before we had the deck, we got cabin fever a bit. So we were really hanging out for that deck. So now if it's too cold, we can be in here. If it's not, we're outside. So not only is this a sofa, it pulls out into a 3/4 bed. We like having guests, and I have 2 grown kids, and we have friends coming from different parts of Australia, so we want to have as much sleeping space as possible, so one click and it becomes a bed.
And then we move into the kitchen space, and you're right that especially with this breakfast bar, it has provided a lot more counter space and work area, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's an extension of the growing of the food is then all the preparing of the food, and I'm into fermenting and foraging and kombuchas and all of those things. So you do need a bit of space now and then to get all that happening, and having this bench here is brilliant for that. It really solves that.
And it's great to see you've got all the necessary appliances, a good sized fridge and oven in here as well.
Yes, and we're using gas for the stovetop and for the oven. They work really, really well. Obviously minimal space, so we only have 2 burners there, but they've been quite sufficient.
And then it's good to see that you've also built a lot of storage into this kitchen area as well.
That was something we asked for. I asked for extra cupboards up there as well, and we're so glad because we jar a lot of things, and when we go shopping, we go to bulk food shops, and we have got probably 50 to 100 jars up in those cupboards, and just storage for plates and those kinds of things. We have built some shelves there to make the kombucha and to do the fermented things, to put our bits and pieces. You've got so many bits and pieces you discover, and you need space to put your bits and pieces.
Absolutely. So in your business, you talk about how to reduce use of single-use plastics. Can you give me some tips about how we can do that in our homes, and maybe talk a little bit about how you've done that in your own tiny house?
Sure, it's bringing it into your awareness as much as possible, being a conscious consumer, which I do talk to kids about because I didn't grow up being a conscious consumer. I didn't really take care of the choices I made when I was shopping, So it's firstly we can eliminate the top single-use items, as in bags and bottles and cups and straws. But going further, when we're going shopping, just being aware of our choices. If we're going to buy some muesli, for example, you can go to a bulk food shop and fill up your own jar. So then you've eliminated one little plastic bag. You can keep taking it further, as in soaps.
Making our own cleaning products. That's one of the things we do. So we bulk buy the baking soda, and we use some essential oils, and you can get by and do quite a lot with very few ingredients. So you're minimising the packaging that's coming in. Same with changing our shampoos, moving away from plastic packaged shampoos onto the bar soap variety. And I do a lot of research on the DIY side, the homesteader side. I think I'm really passionate about that.
I think the important thing to remember with that is that it's so easy to feel like our small contribution doesn't really make a difference. But it's important to remember that collectively, those decisions actually add up to a really big deal, don't they?
It really is, and it's contributing to that movement, and movement needs people that need energy behind it. So you're contributing to that energy out there in the universe as well, and I feel that's really, really important.
And then up over here, we've got a sleeping loft.
That's right, yeah. As I said, we have a lot of guests coming from different parts of the country. I've got 2 grown kids. We want to have a space for them to be as well. Often, actually, when I'm tossing and turning a bit too much in our bed, Kira might go and sleep in that one, or I might go and sleep in that one as well. It's good to have options.
It definitely is good to have that option, isn't it? And it's really nice the way that this has been designed as well, because it's kind of tucked out of the way, and it looks like you've got a clever access solution with that ladder there.
Yeah, the ladder's great, and it slides in nicely behind the wall, so it's invisible most of the time, and we can use that for finding things in cupboards as well. And we're very conscious of having as much window space up there too, so it's nice and light to let the air in and the light in.
Very clever. And then through here we've got your bathroom.
The bathroom, one of my favourite places, with the composting toilet. That was something I was looking forward to trying out, because I'd heard about these things before, and I thought, I really want to give that a go. So we have a dual chamber system there, so there's a big chamber down underneath, and there's the full one, which is out cooking in the sun for 3 months while this one's filling up. Then we'd simply tip that one on the compost and put the empty one there and swap it over.
And here in Australia, you've just come out of a 3-year drought. So when you really think about it, everyone in Australia should be looking at this as an option, regardless of the home that they live in.
Yeah, it's insane, the fact that we're flushing away so much drinkable water per day. It's something that we've thought about a lot, the amount of water that we save by having one of these, but the fact that we're on the world's driest continent and we are flushing millions and millions and millions of litres of drinkable water per day. I think it should be standard.
It's crazy. And the shower over here, this looks super luxurious. You've got the rainfall shower head and everything.
The shower's awesome. The whole bathroom's awesome. It is like a little apartment. I feel like we're in a luxury apartment somewhere in a hotel.
This is the first new dwelling I've ever lived in, you know, so it is lovely to have something new and fresh that we've designed ourselves, we've picked everything out ourselves.
And then over here we've got your stairs, and it's really interesting how these have been placed right at the end of the home.
Yeah, that was quite unusual, and you don't see it often in tiny homes, and it was recommended by the builder that we do that because of how we wanted things, you know, having a larger bedroom here and then a smaller guest room up there, and then having extra storage space too. There's so much storage in those stairs.
Well, should we go up and take a look at the sleeping loft?
Sure can.
All right. Oh, this is just so cozy up here. I especially like the way that you've got the storage at the back wall there. That really does just create this wonderful layer of separation between the sleeping loft and the rest of the home, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it was about that, and also having somewhere to have our every day-to-day clothes that we can just get them when we wake up in the morning rather than having to go downstairs and find clothes. So that was a design feature that we specifically asked for.
And it's great to see you've got the skylight in here as well.
Yeah, the hatch was a feature I really, really wanted, and I only discovered after actually staying in a tiny home just over a weekend and seeing what it was like, you know, and they had a hatch, but it was one of those hatches you can only open this much. And I heard that you can get a hatch you can open all the way, and I wanted one of those, and we had it put in. It was an extra expense, but now we can get up, get out on the roof, we can have a coffee in the morning or a beer in the afternoon and just, you know, sit amongst the trees, you know. It's like having a tree house.
That is such a cool feature. And it does technically then really, really add to the livable space of the home when you can actually utilize the whole roof area, and especially in a location like this, that's just so idyllic.
It really is. It's like the world is your backyard. It is. The entire world is your backyard, as I discovered being on the road. In the combi van, wherever you park is your backyard, and it might be a beach one day, it might be a forest one day. Here we just have so much available to us that we just get to use whenever we want, you know.
Absolutely. And so how long have you actually been living in the tiny house now?
It's been about a year and about 14 months, yeah.
And how are you finding life in the tiny house?
Absolutely love it. I mean, initially it's been interesting because we set up the house and then Anthony had a 2-month teaching tour. So he was away, and I hadn't moved in. I was just coming and going and looking after the place, and then I was here a bit more and here a bit more, and then I pretty much moved in just quietly, and then Anthony came back, and it was like, well, have we moved in together? And we kind of just had. So that was very sweet. And of course it does change. Like when I'm here on my own, it's a little bit different to when we're here as a couple. And that's just, it's like anything, you know, you always have those changes.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really special about this place is that the home is wonderful, but more than that, it's facilitated this incredible lifestyle for you both.
Yeah, I feel like the tiny house and the home that we've created here is the most true that I've been able to live to my values, and being able to include everything that I'm passionate about as an extension of my daily life. That's what the tiny house has allowed, and I'm very grateful for it, and we talk about that quite a lot.
I think it's the yearning to live as close to nature and as in harmony with nature as possible. And so growing your own food contributes to that. Having no electricity bills contributes to that. And here it's just wonderful to be breathing clean air, to be drinking clean water, and to be getting our power and our energy from a clean source. I really feel like what we're doing, even though it's only small, it's aligning with our values.
Living this way, we are living true to our values. Like I know in previous places where I've lived, I either haven't been able to garden, or I haven't been able to be off-grid, or there have been things that haven't ticked all of those boxes, whereas the tiny house actually ticks every single box.
Yeah, I could not imagine living any other way where I would be experiencing more well-being and joy at all. And I've lived in some pretty big, 5-bedroom houses and lush apartments and all that kind of thing. Nothing compares to this.
And can you talk to me a little bit about the cost of making this space a reality?
So I had a budget of 105,000 and we came in with everything here at 104. So it was 84,000 for this entire tiny home. The off-grid solar came on top. That was another nearly 10,000 for that, but we were just happy to pay that and get the best system possible. We know it's going to last for 20, 30 years at least. No electricity bills for the rest of our lives. And then the deck, that was about another 8,000, but we had it built by a professional builder with recycled materials, but we wanted something, again, that was good and solid and is going to last the distance,
You really have both created such a beautiful home here. I think the space is lovely. I love the connection to the outdoors and the incredible veranda. And I really love how this is a space that enables you to do some wonderful work in the world. Congratulations on creating a beautiful home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony and Kira have created such a beautiful home here. And what I think is really wonderful is that this is a space that truly facilitates their ability to live out their passions on the planet. Their work in going plastic free and regenerative agriculture, these are things that the world desperately needs right now. And the fact that this house enables them to go out and do this wonderful work in the world is just so exciting to me.